There we go. Okay, well, we are streamed into Facebook. We can go ahead and get started here. I want to pull up a group on my phone so I can make sure that we're getting questions answered from Facebook. There we go. Okay, wonderful. So we're ready to go. Yay! All right, wonderful. Thanks for joining us tonight. Happy Wednesday. We're here doing a live on hormones with our hormone specialist, Kelly Conklin. I'm so excited that Kelly was able to join us tonight. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
Kelly is my hormone doctor, but she's also who almost all of our clients see, and she's been able to help them achieve some really phenomenal results by, helping us get hormones in a much more balanced space so the body can, not only so we can lose weight, that's always just a byproduct of having your body work optimally, but so that you can feel good, so that you can be the person that you are, so you can function like you're supposed to. So essentially like helping to give you your life back. So I don't want to take up a whole bunch of time. If you guys have questions tonight, just drop them into the chat, whether you're here with us on Zoom or if you're on Facebook. I do have the video pulled up so I can monitor the chat there, and I'll be doing that all this evening while we're talking. Kelly, did you want to share a little bit about how you got into, specializing in hormones?
Yeah, so it was almost by mistake. Knowing that I was, primary care is my baby, and so many women, I did have a few men come, but so many women came to me, and especially in the perimenopause stage, and just miserable. And I was like, no, they're being told you'll get through it. This is just part of it. You'll be through it in a couple of years. But I was like, these people can't be suffering like this, literally suffering. It's miserable. And so it really got me interested in hormones, and I started learning and going to conferences and doing classes. And it is just the amount of information about hormones and how they are involved in your overall health is just phenomenal. And it's so many times overlooked. So I try to include it in all of my patients' care.
Oh, that is so great. Most people aren't that lucky to have a primary care that cares about their hormones, because even like, I don't know, like most of our clients, they're like, oh, I have an OBGYN. And I'm like, don't even bother asking them to check their hormones, because number one, they won't do it. Or if they do, they won't do all of them. And if they do them, they're like, why? They won't do anything.
Right. And more often than not, if they are treated, in the rare cases that they are, it's not the typical therapy that I would go with. And, we look a lot, especially with what you do. Family medicine is there for a purpose. I like people to not be on medicine. That's my favorite. But if they do, like, let's go the most natural route and let's use natural hormones and things like that, where an OBGYN will more often than not put you on a synthetic type hormone.
Yeah, and I know that they like to use, just a birth control as the hormone replacement often too, which in the long run is not helping anything.
No, the ratios of those hormone containing birth controls aren't what the balance is that you need specifically for each individual.
Right. Oh, you've hit on something so good right now. Ratios. So talk to us about ratios, because I know these women go in and they have their labs done and they're like, oh, they're told you're fine. Like you're, everything's in range. You don't need to do anything.
For sure. So one of the biggest complaints that I get from patients is, in the perimenopause, they start noticing weight gain, inability to lose weight specifically around the midsection. And again, they'll go to their OBGYNs or other providers, and they'll check testosterone, estrogen, and progesterone, and they won't check anything else. But even after that's checked, they'll say, oh, your progesterone and your estrogen are in a normal range. Have a good day.
Yep.
Whereas there are ratios that need to be looked at. One specifically that I've talked to you about is a progesterone to estrogen ratio. And for women, our ranges should be in the 100 to 500 range. And a lot of the times this isn't the case. And this is where we see estrogen dominance. And that's why it's overlooked, because estrogen dominance is huge. It's very common, but it's not treated. It's so undertreated. So really looking at those ratios rather than just your normal lab ranges is so important, because it is very specific to each patient.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think I'm going to talk on this at a later date, but I think, like, then some people, they can go and they can get, I mean, you can get a home kit to test your hormones, like from Everly or someplace. But then what are you going to do with that information? Like,
right.
do you know how to interpret it? And if you do manage to somehow interpret it, how are you going to treat whatever is going on? Like,
Right.
that is so crazy to me.
It is crazy. And,
Yeah.
again, just checking those three components, which is so usual. Is it a cascade? Is there a block? Is there a hormone before your progesterone or your estrogen or your testosterone that's not being produced completely? Or is there a problem inside of your hypothalamus, in your pituitary? It's just ignored.
Yeah, no, that's so fair. We have some people on Facebook. So, hey, if you are on Facebook and you're joining us and you have questions, please just go ahead and drop them in the chat. We'll make sure that you get them answered. We still have more people joining on Facebook. Yeah, no, but the ratio, I know it goes unaddressed. And I know a lot of women, they get, well, even because before I started seeing you, I was seeing another integrative health doctor that should have been addressing these things that we're working on now, and they weren't, because my ranges were fine. They were the numbers that particular doctor wanted to see, but that didn't mean that I was fine, because I certainly wasn't. But if you're, at home and you're feeling desperate, and I know a lot of people, it's really hard to get in and get labs done for multitudes of reasons. So you Google something, right? And you're like, oh, well, this must be what I have. So you go to the store and you pick up progesterone or estrogen cream. That scares me, like, so bad, because you don't know what you're treating.
Definitely. Exactly. No, it happens
Yeah.
so frequently. And but there's so much self-diagnosis because there are no answers.
No, that's true, because you can type your symptoms into Google and it really doesn't give you much of anything.
Right.
No, that's crazy. So I know that I've explained this so many times to our group, but our three hormones have, specific roles in the body, but you have such a really unique way of presenting the roles of estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. So I thought maybe I'd ask you to do that tonight.
Oh my goodness. No, on the spot. So putting it in layman's terms for patients who are trying to understand how each hormone is functioning inside of their body, I explain it that progesterone is kind of like your balancer. It's your emotional hormone. Your estrogen is your bitch. I'm sorry. And your
No, you're
testosterone is your rager. It's your rager, but they also have very important roles. But when not balanced, you experience these raging symptoms, extreme emotion, and you just got to find the right balance.
yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. I think that's such a good analogy, because because it's so true. It's so applicable.
Yeah.
Yeah, but just because we're having those emotions doesn't necessarily mean we have a problem with that particular hormone.
Well, right. And
Yeah.
same thing too, go to a regular doctor and you're like, oh, I feel awful. I cry all of the time. I don't feel right. I have low energy, just a myriad of symptoms. And it's like, take an antidepressant, it'll fix it.
Yeah. No, I know. My doctor was like, well, things happen as you get older, and here's a prescription for Prozac. And I was like, what the fuck? I just sat here, for an hour and a half for you to tell me this. Oh, I never went back to that.
Don't blame me.
Yeah. And it's crazy. I filled the prescription for Prozac, but then, like, I didn't want to take it, but I didn't want the kids to know I had it. So I hid it in my sock drawer for like a year.
You had to finally dispose of it.
Yeah, I did. And then we pursued, finding a better way to to correct what I felt was just becoming insanity.
Yeah.
Yeah. So walk us through a little bit. More people joining. So walk us through a little bit. When somebody comes in and they have those symptoms, what do you do?
So, of course, a past medical history is very important. What kind of medications are you taking? What type of surgeries have you had in the past? One of the big ones that's so important for me is, have you had a hysterectomy? And no, it's not a bad thing to have a hysterectomy, but why were you told that you needed to have a hysterectomy? What
Mhm.
else was investigated before that was done? Because even after the hysterectomy is done, you're still going to have an imbalance if it was there before the surgery ever happened. So of course, I check into more labs than just hormones. I have to check your organ function, because hormones are also affected with how well your liver works, how well your kidneys work, how much do you weigh, what's your BMI, what is your body holding on to. So again, I go through the hormones, but not just those 3 that are typically checked. I check on average, just on a regular, at least 12 hormones going in, just to see that cascade, to see where is the disconnect, where do you need help, what's happening, and then correlate it again with your organ function, with your entire body function. So
Mhm.
really looking at it as a whole rather than it's just this.
Right. Did you guys know you had 12 hormones? That you have more than 12?
There's way more.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I bet they didn't know that. I've never laid it out like that. That's that's cool. No, so relating it to body function, and then you don't always just like, I know you don't. Um, just give them, because even though you do some hormone replacement therapy, you're not using the synthetic hormone.
never, always bioidentical. And I
Mhm.
don't do pellets. Nothing like that. This is all, everything that I do is low and slow. And the reason being is because we want to balance them. We don't
Mhm.
want somebody, another typical example is a woman who comes in with low libido. And the answer in so many cases is, let's throw some testosterone pellets in you. And for some people, it's wonderful. It's great. And for some people, they need that level, but then they get it and they're fantastic and then crash.
Oh yeah.
And let's start over, but let's, pay an arm and a leg.
Right. Yeah, I can't even imagine doing that. And I talked to so many people that have. Um, with the pellets, it's good in theory, except that you have no control over how fast your body metabolizes it.
Correct.
And if it's too high, did I ever tell you, we had a client one time that was seeing a clinic over in California somewhere. I don't know what they did, if they like double dosed her pellets or whatever, but she ended up with a testosterone of over 900. And there was nothing that they could do about it, because you
Oh,
can't take the pellet out
yes.
once it's in.
You can't do
No,
anything. You can
no.
try to counterbalance it, but the level of hormone that's in it is so high.
Yeah. Yeah, so you're stuck with whatever they give you, and there's no adjusting it. That's one of the things that I love about the topicals and the troches, is that if you don't like your dose, even you, like, I can cut my dose in half. Like, I feel horrible taking, a full scoop of this. I'm only going to do a half. Or, I know, like, going through prep, my previous practitioner told me to go ahead and increase the dose on testosterone because my body's using it more. But those are things that you can do, but only, I think, if you're getting your labs monitored like every 6 months, or you're going to jack yourself up again.
Right. Yeah, no. Also too, with those therapies, the lab levels are rarely checked at the increments that they need to be in the
That's true.
uh,
Yeah. No, that's such a good point. Um, yeah, especially like if you're going to your doctor, maybe they might retest it next year, maybe they won't.
yeah.
All right, we have some more people on Facebook, so if you have questions, please go ahead and drop them in the chat. I can monitor that and we'll get those answered for you. So with hormones, I know everybody thinks that they're like, the magic missing piece in being able to lose weight.
Mhm.
And it's not true, but it's not true.
I'm with you.
Yeah. Yeah. So if we have hormone imbalance, like Kelly was saying, we usually see a lot of fat, and specifically belly fat, and the utter inability to get that to shift. Can you get it off without addressing hormones? Yes, absolutely. Is it fun, and can you sustain it? The answer is no and no. So it's not that the hormones keep you from losing weight, it just makes it like exponentially harder.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
Going
oh, go ahead.
No, just going back to that ratio again, you know, really digging deep into what those numbers mean, even if they are normal, you know, specifically talking about belly fat and trying to lose weight, not being able to lose weight. A lot of people don't understand how the hormones actually function inside of your body. Like the estrogen, how I always explain it, it sits in the same spot as progesterone. They sit in the same spot, but only one of them can sit there at a time. And once you have an estrogen dominance, it will take over and progesterone gets bullied out of there. And estrogen will hold on to fluid, it'll hold on to fat, it loves fat. And you just, there's no winning until
No.
that balance is there. And for it to actually happen naturally, it's rare.
Oh, to like have your body just work itself out of an
Yeah,
estrogen dominance? Oh yeah.
right.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think all the gym in the world would do that.
No,
No. Did you see we had a question from Val in the chat?
I did, Val. We'll pull it back up. Okay, we can do that. You know, and a lot of times too, like how you were saying, if you don't like the way that your specific hormone replacement therapy is making you feel, like, let's revisit it. Let's see what you're feeling, how you're feeling, how long have you been doing it? You know, this one specifically, she stopped taking it because she didn't feel good and not having weight loss. Well, then let's go at it a different angle, because there's always a different angle to go at with the hormones, especially if the very first try or go around just isn't making you feel right, or you don't feel how you were hoping to feel. So.
Yeah, for sure. There's always different ways. And going back to like, it's not always about, replacing the hormone bioidentically. There's a lot of supplements that can be very beneficial. But again, you have to know what the hormone issue is. Like I know perimenopausal and menopausal women love to take maca and cohosh and evening primrose oil. And not that those are bad, but they can give you not the effect that you're looking for if they're not what you need.
Right. Just like women who are pregnant and are wanting to induce their pregnancy will take the same supplements to,
yeah, I know. Yes,
yeah.
that's so crazy to me. I talked to somebody who was taking cohosh and I was like, you know what that does, right?
That's scary.
I know. They're like, oh, maybe that's why my periods are so bad. Maybe.
It sure can be.
That's crazy. All right. We don't have any questions on Facebook, so don't be shy, guys. If you have questions, please let us know. We're taking this time to get your questions answered so that you can have some information so that you can feel better.
And don't be embarrassed. Ask the questions. All the questions.
Right? Yeah, like as far as adjusting what you're taking, even we had to do that, you and I, because we started the progesterone and my body hated it. Like it really did. And that's crazy because it's low. So we had to, stop taking that and try a different approach. And now we just give my body some time and see if it'll catch up.
Right. And does it have to be a different dose? Do we need to add something to it? That's, especially with my men, I do a lot of testosterone replacement, and in women too. And talking about the pellets, women who have too much testosterone in their body and they come and I see mustaches and facial hair, and it's there aren't other measures being taken to, okay, it's good. You need a testosterone replacement if you have low testosterone. Do
Mhm.
you need an estrogen replacement? So if this testosterone aromatizes into estrogen, are you going to be okay? Or is it going to cause something else to happen?
Right. That is so valid. And I think what people, they don't know or they don't understand. Is it's very complex. It's like, well, it's far more complex than losing weight, but losing weight isn't even as easy as everybody thinks that it is. Because if it was as simple as calories in versus calories out, y'all be fucking like skinny, so skinny right now because you're under eating. But you're not skinny because you're constantly here to learn about weight loss. So apparently what you're doing isn't working, and there's other things that need to be addressed in order for you to start seeing results in the fat loss department. So not as easy as calories in versus calories out.
Yeah, the
Wish it
hormone.
was.
I know. That's the huge part about hormones too. Like what the hormones are in your food.
Oh
And
gosh, yeah.
it is, that's the norm now. And
Yes.
it's not questions. You don't even think about it when you go to the store and you grab some meat and throw it in your cart and you go check out. Like, how is this going to affect my weight? I'm getting a lean meat. I'm
Right.
going to lose weight. But
Yeah.
what's inside of that meat?
I know. Yeah, so that's one thing with people, we have a lot of people in the group that are still, interested in eating plant-based or they're trying to. But I know from time to time it can be challenging to meet your protein requirements without having animal products. And it's a big adjustment for some people, which is fine. We're all works in progress. But you're right, all of the animal products have hormones. There is no other option. Like, it is a living being with a hormone structure, and you're ingesting it, so you're gonna get it.
Yeah. Yeah. Simple.
Right. Yeah, but no, you're so right. I think that's something nobody ever thinks of. Um, yeah, and then I think, oh God, yeah, and then we go down a whole different rabbit hole of like what's in the air and what's in the water, and you don't even know. I'm gonna get like this really big water filter for the house.
A really big one.
A really big one.
But even plant-based,
Yeah.
how I ask the questions like, how much soy are you eating? What kind of soy are you eating?
Yeah,
It's important.
yeah. The the kinds of soy is very, very important for sure. And I think with the plant-based people, plant-based food has a lot less calories in it than, eggs and dairy and meat, a lot less. Um, and so it's easy for women to undereat because plant-based foods are also, well, they're really high in fiber. So you're full from the fiber. It's a larger food volume, so you're full from the food volume. And so then they really undereat, which then their hormones take a hit from that too, because they're not ingesting enough to sustain their body where it's at. And so hormone production takes a dive. That's something we see a lot of.
That makes sense.
Let's see. Anybody else have any questions? No, mom said she didn't make the Zoom connection. That's okay. You're on Facebook, so yay. I'm not seeing any questions. We'll leave this open for just a few more minutes, guys. So if you have questions, please make sure that you get them in the chat. Unless I'm missing something, but I don't think so. There was one time that I didn't pull it up on my phone and I was just monitoring off the screen because you can see it.
Mhm.
And I got done and there was like 5 questions and they never popped through. And I don't know why. Yeah, so I always just try to use my phone now, which is weird because then I'm looking down, but I'm sure I don't miss anyone. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming in to talk about all of this fun stuff tonight, Kelly. I appreciate it.
Hey, anytime. Like I'll get some information sent to you just so that way you can have it and
Okay.
pass it out and whatnot, contact information.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
seriously, any
absolutely.
questions, if you don't want to ask them in a public forum, by all means, I get it. But there's a lot of questions that you can ask.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, what was I gonna say? Oh, if someone, from our group that's not a client is wanting to reach out about maybe with some questions, or maybe about hormone help,
Mhm.
how could they reach you?
Do you, or would you be able to pass the information along? They can always email me at thehormoneswithkelly@gmail.com.
Yeah, yeah, I'll just drop that on the bottom of the video
Cool.
when it's in the group. Yeah. And I think that, just for clarification purposes, Kelly's like super awesome, and she can work with people like pretty much anywhere in the United States. So even if, you're not local to where we are, it really doesn't matter. I felt really bad talking to somebody from Canada the other day because there was nothing I could do to help them with their hormones, like labs or a visit with you. And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry.
Dang it.
Yeah.
We'll look into that.
Canada? Oh, all right, let me know.
Okay.
But yeah, so she can help, like I said, virtually anyone in the United States. I know you do telephone sessions, you can do video sessions, and getting labs and getting treatment really isn't hard. There's clinics everywhere.
It's not.
All right. There's some thank yous on Facebook, and mom said she's excited to get her results back.
All right.
All right, wonderful. All right. Well, we can go ahead and let you go. Thank you so much for joining us, Kelly. I really
And
appreciate you
thanks for
taking the
having
time to
me.
do this. Of course, of course.
Seriously.
Anytime.
Yeah, same for you. Anytime.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Well, you have a wonderful rest of your night. And to everyone that joined us, have a wonderful rest of your night. I'll go ahead and post Kelly's email on the bottom of the video in the Facebook group so that you can grab that if you would like to talk with her about anything at all. And otherwise, we'll see you all on Monday. All
Awesome.
right.
Thanks, Clarissa.
Thank you, Kelly. Have a good night.
You too.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.